Hello everyone, this is Mr.05 and welcome to Lego Boomer Sancho Toy Review. And today's toy review looking at the 2010 release by Hasbro of the Marvel Universe action figure review. And today's action figure review we're looking at series number 2, action figure number 9, Luke Cage. Now I got this straight from a toy department store for 39 ringgit and 90 cents. You will notice there's some changes to your typical Marvel Universe packaging. For this packaging, they added this, Fans Choice Runner-Up. Now, apart from all that, there's a nice little gold background for the Luke Cage name to be imprinted on. This is a very nice touch. You got a nice little artwork of Luke Cage there, a hammer logo for the 2010 lineup. Now here we have the figure itself, and the bling, the skull cap, and the steel beam there. Hiding behind the figure itself, you've got the base stand, and the secret file card, which includes what is stated includes classified file with secret code, which by the time you get this figure, it wouldn't work anymore. Now the back of the packaging itself, you've got the nice little image of Luke Cage holding that beam itself, which is kind of strange that they don't equip him with the skull cap. Here you got the bio for Luke Cage and the rest of the lineup, Bucky, Black Widow, and Thor. And bottom part here you got Osborn telling you become an agent of Hammer at FuryFiles.com. So, without further ado, let's open up this packaging so we can molest the toy. Be right back. And we're back of the room, the figure and the rest of the stuff out from packaging. Now let's take a look at the top secret file folder that contains a few items. You got this small piece of paper that has the codes for you to enter at FuryFiles.com, but of course the codes doesn't work anymore. Then you have a letter from Colonel Paul Coburn to Director Osborn stating they have to come up with a contingency plan to capture Luke Cage, and he suggested to bring Wolverine to disable him so they can use a vibranium shackle to, well, capture him. Here we have a character card. You got Luke Cage artwork there, not much of a pose. At the back here you got the Superhuman Registration Act. You got a nice little image of Luke Cage, a thumbprint, nice little image of the Hammer logo, and his real name is Luke Cage, legally changed from Carl Lucas. Here it stated code name Luke Cage. Not too sure why they would add this line down. I'm not too sure why. Here you have hair bald, eyes brown, height 6'6", weight 425 pounds, sex male. Powers: superhumanly strong, able to lift or press 25 tons, steel hard skin, self-taught hand-to-hand combatant, and extensive street fighting experience. On the bottom it says enhanced human, and that's about it. Let's take a look at the figure's accessories. It comes with the Marvel Universe base stand, where there's two pegs there, so it fits at the bottom feet of the figure itself. There you'll notice there's two holes there. Next you notice there's an embedded word of Marvel, very nicely done. At the bottom here is imprinted Luke Cage, and here is stated 009. Now the accessories. You have his bling, the chain connected to each other, and at the bottom of the chain itself you've got the word Cage. Now the bling itself is more painted in bronze rather than gold. And you notice at the back of the packaging is more gold compared to this kind of color, and it fits onto the figure's neck quite nice, as you can see, and can pull it out easily as well with no problems. Next we have the skull cap. It's more painted in flat colors and fits onto his head nicely. And the final accessory, I was quite surprised that it comes with a lot of accessories, is this weapon of his steel beam weapon. You notice that this one is shaped into this kind of fashion as when Luke Cage used this to, let's say, Wrecker, use it on Wrecker and bash his head on. As you notice, it's all bent up, very nicely done. And they will have this nice little handle there, but the problem is the handle is a bit too big for the figure to hold it. And you will notice the figure's thumb is more spread out. Originally it's not as spread out as shown here, because the moment you put the weapon in, it spreads the thumb. You have to put it in, you have to slowly adjust the thumb a little bit, otherwise the figure won't be able to hold the weapon at all. So You have to position the weapon to hold it like so, because on the other side of the handle is a bit too widened up for the figure to even hold it properly. So make sure that the figure is holding the weapon like this fashion, because this is how he's supposed to hold it. Now let's take a look at the figure's paint job. The paint job is actually not bad. Simple, but it's really nicely done, especially the skin tone here. A lot of shadow lines all over his arms, very nicely done. His face paint job is also quite nicely done. There's no sloppy paint job. I was quite surprised. It's really nicely done. The head is very nicely painted. There's the sunglasses there. You got the goatee and the mustache. When he's wearing this sleeveless shirt, you got the belt buckle there that's also painted in gold. Even the jeans itself is really nicely done. It looked very worn out. Notice the paint job is really nicely done, especially on his butt cheeks. You notice there's two butt cheeks here. It's more lighter in color because it's just to show you that Luke Cage has sat a lot of times using these jeans. Very nicely done. And the bottom part of the figure itself, the boots itself, is painted in black, and that's about it. Let's take a look at the figure's sculpt. Now the sculpt itself, the face sculpt, one side of the face is more like it's squished in a little bit, but it's not as bad as shown in the previous Luke Cage figure I saw being sold in one of the shops, especially in Toy department store. As the figure's face, both sides of the face is more squished in. It's really weird looking. Despite that the face is actually alright, it doesn't look exactly just what is portrayed at the back of the packaging. At the back of the packaging, his face looks more normal compared to this. It's like his one side of the face is like he's been starved. It's kind of weird. Now the body itself, the sculpt of the body is really nice. You've got the six-pack going there, a lot of muscle tones, very nicely sculpted muscle tones. One side of the face itself is enclosed, the other side of hand itself is open up so he can wield the weapon. Belt buckle is being sculpted nicely. The jeans itself is nicely done as well, but the ties is very big for some reason. It's not like what's shown at the packaging here. The ties itself is rather, well, big. As you notice, there's a lot of excess on the sides here, so I'm not too sure why. Oh, another funny thing about this figure is, if you notice at the back of the packaging itself, if you look closely, if you have this figure, there's actually a waist articulation. But this figure doesn't even have a waist articulation. This is one piece here, so that's kind of weird. Now let's take a look at the figure's articulation. The head can actually turn 360 degrees and barely able to pivot the head up and down. The torso can turn 360 degrees and go backwards, forwards, and side to side. Nicely done. Shoulder can turn 360 degrees, but it's a bit too loose. Both sides as well. And can spread the shoulders up this far. Upper bicep can turn 360 degrees. Elbow joint can actually bend this far. And the wrist joint can turn 360 degrees. Now, the hip joint here, due to the size of the hip joint, when you bend the leg, it tends to twist the entire leg as well. So, well, that's not such a big deal, but oversized ties it looks kind of weird. Can't bend backwards, can actually spread the legs far, but if you spread this far, it tends to snap back to its normal position due to the size of the ties. Now the knee joint can actually bend this far, it's double jointed, and the ankle joint can turn 360 degrees and pivot downwards, but it can't pivot upwards due to the sculpt of the jeans itself. So there you have it. I was saying that the figure is actually not bad. Ties is a bit weird. The one side of the face is a bit squished, and weapon's handle is a bit too big. So if I'm gonna give a rating out of this, it's not bad. I'll say I'll give it a 7 out of 10. So I thank you all for watching this. I'm Lunacy05 and I'm signing off.